you to all my, not only colleagues, but dear friends who are up on the dais to talk about this important legislation, and a special thank you to a colleague of mine on the House Administration Committee and a great friend whose years of leadership on this legislation is bringing it to the floor once again, and that's Congresswoman Terry Sewell, who we will all be joining in Alabama this week. I said, boy, she has a lot of work. She's tireless and has a big weekend ahead of her. But we're so grateful for her continued fight here. And as I said, thank you to Leader Jeffries, to Whip Clark, and Chairman Aguilar for their incredible leadership and commitment to the American people. And also my dear friends from New York, Yvette Clark and Grace Meng. And I do want to say a word about John Lewis. I often say, people will ask me back in Rochester, did you get to meet John Lewis? And I had the privilege of serving with him for just a couple years. And I remember in the morning when we'd get on the floor, I'd always go over to say hello. And I'd say, good morning, Mr. Lewis, how are you? Good afternoon, Mr. Lewis, how are you? And he finally said to me one day, you know, we're colleagues, you can call me John. And I said, I appreciate that very much, Mr. Lewis. And he will always be Mr. Lewis to me. You know, I think as it's clear, House Democrats believe democracy works best when every single person participates. It's at the core of who we are. As I often say, I'm a son of Rochester, New York, a community whose history is synonymous with expanding access to the ballot box. It's also the core of who I am. Rochester is the home of Frederick Douglass and Susan B. Anthony, two of the most passionate and well-known advocates for voting rights in American history. Frederick Douglass published the North Star newspaper at the heart of my downtown area, and we take our ties to that sacred history very, very seriously. I stand with my esteemed colleagues as we continue the fight Frederick Douglass and Susan B. Anthony began so long ago. And today we carry the legacy of Frederick Douglass with us as we work towards our own North Star, protecting the right to vote for every single American and restoring the Voting Rights Act to its full strength. 60 years after the late Congressman Lewis led the march from Selma to Montgomery, we still remind people that the fight for free, fair, and equal access to the ballot box is not over. We stand together on the shoulders of giants to introduce this legislation, and again thank Congress Member Terry Sewell for her incredible leadership. But the effort is pursuit of bringing America closer to its foundational promise. So we're not going to back down in the fight to ensure every American has an equal say in the decisions governing their lives. We'll stand up against disenfranchisement and fight for the very bedrock of this democracy. So many of our colleagues on the other side of the aisle in all three branches of government seem to have forgotten why we need democracy in the first place. But we haven't, and we're going to continue that fight every single day.